Hello and welcome. My name is Nick Bublitz, and I'm the producer in residence here at Orlando Shakes. And welcome to our third installment of Meet the Playwright, a weekly spotlight series on each playwright showcased in PlayFest 2020. This year is a whole new experience. PlayFest makes the switch to a virtual platform over the span of 6 weeks, with a live reading occurring every week from October 3rd and following all the way to November 7th. This week, I'm joined by Rachel Lynett, a PlayFest alum, who is the third playwright showcased in our virtual New Play Festival with her dark comedy, Apologies to Lorraine Hansberry, You to August Wilson. But before we get into that, a big thank you to our presenting sponsors. For the second year, the Basil Keeney family joined City Beverages in presenting PlayFest 2020. What's so special about PlayFest is that these new plays are still in development. So during our rehearsal process, playwrights are able to hear the words aloud and actually continue adding to their work, making cuts, adding scenes, and continuing to grow and explore. And you, as an audience member, get to be a part of the process. After each reading, there will be a live Q&A with the playwright and the director, where the audience can ask questions and provide feedback about the play directly to the playwright as they continue on their creative journey. And throughout all of this Meet the Playwright, we'd love to feature your questions. So be sure to leave your questions for Rachel in the comments. Today, we're joined by a PlayFest alum, Rachel Lynett, with her new dark comedy, Apologies to Lorraine Hansberry, You to August Wilson. Through the lens of 5 interconnected characters, Rachel explores race and personal identity while set in the fictional all-Black state of Bronx Bay. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Welcome to the Meet the Playwright.
Thank you.
It's your week to be featured in PlayFest. How's it feeling?
It feels great. I'm really excited about it.
We're super excited to have you here. We last saw you at PlayFest in 2017 with Well-Intentioned White People, I believe, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, welcome back. So for the viewing audience, please tell me and everyone watching a little bit about yourself. How long have you been writing plays?
I have been writing intentionally. How long have I intentionally been writing plays?
Yeah, intentional works.
It's probably since 2012. What's funny is that in high school, I was not in high school in 2012. This is pre-2012. Okay. I'm older than I look. In high school, same. I would, we had this thing where like each class got to compete and they would write their own play, star in their own play, put on their own play. And every year my class would come to me and say, Rachel, can you write the script for us? And I'd be like, whatever. I want to be a lawyer, but whatever. And so I would write the script and then I'd be like, this is yours. Don't talk to me about it ever again. Make any changes you want. And we would always win best script. But it's funny to me that I never even then saw myself as a playwright. I was just like, this is just a thing that I'm doing for like class camaraderie. I didn't like intentionally think of myself as a playwright until I was until 2012.
Okay, perfect. And were you, I assume that you were a part of theater all throughout high school, college? No,
I did not get into, in high school, I was a pretty heavy athlete. I just kind of went to like a private school where theater was something that we should do to be cultured. But it wasn't like my life. My life was like, I played 3 sports in high school, and I didn't become a theater major in college until the second semester of my junior year.
Oh, perfect. Interesting. Yeah, no, I didn't know that. First of all, sorry, you just caught me off guard. What did you play?
I was a volleyball player, soccer player. I also swam. I also fenced for a bit. I was also a dancer.
All-encompassing athlete turned storytelling playwright. I love it. It's the story, right? So let's talk a little bit about Apologies. What was your overall process for the creation of Apologies to Lorraine Hansberry? What was the writing like for this play in particular?
Yeah, so I was working in a museum at the time, and I went to go see a lecture about there was this painting. I can't remember what the painting's called anymore, and I should look it up because it's important. But there was a woman who was white who was giving a presentation about the Black experience, and she kept saying the Black experience as if it was like a very specific, easily defined thing. And I just remember getting more and more frustrated as I heard her speak, because I was like, that's not monolithic. Like, Black people don't all experience the exact same reality. Like, there's some things that connect us, obviously, but it's not that monolithic. And so I really was like, I really want to write a play that kind of really tries to answer what is the Black experience. And then the reason why it's called Apologies to Lorraine Hansberry is I think that when a lot of people think about, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun, when a lot of people think about theater by Black playwrights, if I say name 5 Black playwrights, everyone's like, Lorraine Hansberry, August Wilson, and their face goes blank. And so I kind of want to also address that of just like, who do you know is the canon as well?
Right. So why, I guess you answered the question, why now, why this play? It's, you want to address, try to break down what the Black experience is, right? So diving into the world of the play, well, I have some questions, and if anyone watching has any questions, please write them down, and we can ask them later on in this event. But can you talk a little bit about the who, the what, and the where without any spoilers?
It's really hard to do for this play. It's really hard. I can say that it's set in Bronx Bay, which is an all-Black state that is created in Northern California. And it's about this utopia, like this community of Black people that have come together to create a utopia of like, this is the only place we can be safe. And a character moves in who they argue about whether or not she's Black enough. And so the discussions of Blackness become like who is Black and who isn't, kind of hits the forefront. And then I can't say much more without spoilers, but there's some pretty fun stuff that happens in the second part that is incredibly different than everything I just said.
So there's some twists and turns and surprises along the way, you could say, right? Great. Yes. I like to hear that. That excites me as someone who watches theater. For everyone watching live, Rachel, you've been in the rehearsal process this week with the actors, the directors, and everyone in between. How has rehearsal been going so far? Are there any interesting discoveries you've been making along the way in this process?
Yeah, it's been really great. It's been really interesting to see, to hear the actors talk about their connection to the piece. We've come up with a new scene. I've written a new scene since we've started that I don't know if it works or not yet. And I think that's what's really exciting about this process is this is a chance to try it out. But it's been a really great collaborative room, which is really exciting.
Yeah. So I guess my question is then, what is your process in like revising and in editing and everything like that? I know some playwrights like to make sure that they have everything neatly planned out before they get into rehearsal and then change a little bit through the way. Some are the opposite where they're changing things in the room. What is your process like in this?
I'm still learning what my process looks like in the digital world.
Right.
When it was live, I was all about it. Like I'd have a printed out script and I would make changes as we went along. I'd be like, wait, let's rework this scene. Here's your new lines. Let's go. And there's like a joke that I would just rewrite the play. I have a bad habit of just rewriting the whole play, but still keeping the themes. In the virtual world, it's been really interesting that while that's great and productive, I'm realizing that I wasn't fully listening like I should have been. And I was making changes a lot faster than I probably needed to. And the virtual world kind of forces you to pause a bit. And so it's been really interesting discovering a blend of having something planned out of like, this is what I'd like to work on, but then kind of being surprised by what the actors bring into the room as well.
Right. And I mean, that's the perfect place to be. It's like the tightrope of kind of balancing everything that's happening. And that is so wonderful and creative happening throughout the process this week. But this is obviously a new play festival. So it means that your script is still in development. What are you hoping to get out of this week or the rest of the week up until the performance as you're in rehearsals and making adjustments? Are you clarifying characters? Are you working on structure still? Or what are you adding or removing or keeping an eye out on?
I think what's really fun about development is that this is a chance to be as experimental as possible. And so I'm trying some things that I don't know if it will work or not. And it's kind of fun to be like, I don't know. Let's try it. Let's try this thing that then you have the room to do it. So what I'm looking at, and again, without giving away spoilers, is the world kind of lives in a heightened place and how to continue to heighten that energy without making it too heightened to the point where it's unrecognizable. And so trying to figure out, that's what I'm looking at is like, how far can I go before I've lost everyone?
Right. How do you push it to the limit before people go, whoa, 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 slow off the brakes, slow off the brakes? Yeah, no, and that's an interesting medium to kind of balance, especially since we're not in the room with an audience happening. And what does that look like on a virtual, in a virtual world on StreamYard, and performing live? It's a new and brave world we're in the theater industry nowadays.
Yes.
So now we have questions from Douglas. We have a question from our audience. Are you ever surprised by choices that the actors make that are not what you intended? Do you ever make changes based on your actors' ideas? Great question, Douglas.
Thank you for that question. Yes is the answer all the time. I'm always surprised. And I'm a playwright that loves actor input, and I have made a lot of changes based on my actor ideas. I even have to be careful because I'll go too far where I'll write just for the room, and then I'll try the play in a different room, and then that line doesn't work anymore because I was writing for that specific actor rather than for the play, because I just love that collaborative spirit so much. I think actors bring so much that playwrights, we just wrote a ground plan, but actors really bring the meat to it.
They're lifting it off the page and putting it on the stage. I hate to use that rhyme. I'm so sorry, but it's true. It's how did the idea of Bronx Bay come to you from Orlando Shakes themselves?
While I was sitting listening to this woman talk about the Black experience, I started to think of like, what does a perfect world look like for me specifically? What's perfect? And so I was like, oh, well, if we lived in an all Black state, then I wouldn't have to worry so much about profiling. I wouldn't have to worry so much about, implicit and explicit bias. But then I was also like, but also, oftentimes my partner is not the same race as I am. So then my partner couldn't come with me. And so I started with myself of like, what's utopia look like for me? And then I realized how many holes I had in my own utopia. And that's kind of how I built Bronx Bay.
Right. I mean, what's the biggest change you've seen in the script since you started writing it?
The new scene. The new scene is very meta and very heavy and may not work at all.
You know what? I'm all for exciting new changes to things, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's what's so exciting about a play festival is that really we're all kind of getting in on the ground floor of a play that is going to have a long life after this, and it grows and changes. So take the risks, please, Rachel. You're doing so much now. In addition to Apologies, are you working on anything else right now?
Yes, everything, all the time. Like, oh my goodness. I am also working on a play called Letters to Kamala. That'll be at American Stage in 2 weeks. I don't know what day it is, but soon. And then I'm the artistic director of my theater company, the Lynett Theater Company, and we are working on fundraising plans this month, and that's intense. And then I'm also the executive director of Page by Page, which is an online, mostly an online magazine, but also is just an online community for theater artists to connect across the country.
Right.
I also teach. I'm also a professor.
Jack of all trades right now.
Yeah, so it's a lot all at once, all the time.
Yeah, well, that's the way to do it as a theater artist, right? That's what I'm told.
Oh, also, I should mention my play Echo Me for the Greater Good Commission is tomorrow. Everything's going on at once.
This is a big week for you.
Sorry?
This is a big week for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the questions we have time for right now. But I want to thank you so much for joining us, and I want to send you back to rehearsal because the day doesn't end for you here.
Right.
Following that theme of you being busy. But thank you so much for joining me today, Rachel. I really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit about you as well as Apologies. What we're going to expect on Saturday.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, it's been a pleasure, and we will see you soon. That's all the time for questions we have. Don't forget to purchase your tickets for Apologies to Lorraine Hansberry, U2 August Wilson, this Saturday, October 17th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets starting at $10 can be purchased at orlandoshakes.org. You can also join us next week right here on the Orlando Shakes Facebook page for the 4th installment of Meet the Playwright when we speak to Inda Craig Galvan with her play, Welcome to Madsen. That's all the time we have tonight. I'm Nick Bublitz. Thank you so much and good night.